we're going to move on and talk about this. This is fascinating. It's a lawyer for Johnny Depp. It wasn't Camille Vasquez. It was, how did you pronounce the name again? It was Yarlin Mina. She was the youngest attorney on Johnny Depp's team of lawyers. And there was a very nice article written about her post-trial after Johnny Depp won. And in the school, it wasn't the law school. It was her
undergraduate.
It was her undergraduate degree. The school did not stand by this article because.
And it's weird because most of the article is just giving other like pre-law students advice on career and making piece. Like networking connections and asking her questions like about stuff like that, not about the case.
This alumni office is like, we have someone who's kind of well known. Like, she'll be able to comment on this. No, just kidding. We made a mistake.
And also, even if they personally disagree with, or they have suspicions of Depp or don't think that he should have won, that really has nothing to do with the fact that obviously working on his team and being the youngest person on his team is a huge accomplishment.
Are they saying that lawyers should only pick clients that they know are innocent?
That would be insane.
Also, that people that
would turn over the entire legal system.
Right, and it's not like people that you don't like are therefore entitled to less competent counsel. Like it's a very weird stance to take.
Probably some young undergrad students got together and were like, we're going to send strongly worded emails about this.
They said it was graduate students and professors.
Really?
Yes.
You don't think undergrad students had anything to do with it?
No, I think it's complete academia who's been entrenched there who are like, this is the wrong stance to take. As we know, academia is a predominantly liberal sphere.
Academics who wildly overestimate the relevance of a school newspaper.
So I'm going to read this statement from them. It says the City University of New York recently deleted an article on its website that boasted of a recent graduate who served on actor Johnny Depp's legal team, citing strong negative emotions by some readers. The school further apologized for running the newsletter article in the first place. It says, quote, "We appreciate everyone who shared their concerns about an article in our newsletter featuring a recent CUNY graduate who worked on Johnny Depp's legal team," the school wrote on its website. "We understand the strong negative emotions this article elicited and apologize for publishing the item. We have removed it from the CUNY blog. The article was not meant to convey support for Johnny Depp, implicitly or otherwise, or to call into question any allegations that were made by Heard. Domestic violence is a serious issue in our society, and we regret any pain this article may have caused." It was a fluff piece that basically said this lawyer is a new age girl boss who is, great. Like
the thing is, if they had an alum who was a criminal defense attorney working for the state, right?
Yeah.
Then it would be fine because that's an okay position for take. Like, why wouldn't you want? I mean, if this girl was working on Johnny Depp's legal team, she's probably working at a pretty elite, expensive law firm. Like, that's pretty cool. She's obviously now able to pay off whatever loan she had to take to go to your stupid college in the first place. I think this is a win for her, even if you don't like her client.
The first paragraph it says her advice for getting into law school, and then it goes down in her background that her parents were both lawyers in the Dominican Republic. They came over here, so she's the daughter of two immigrants who has clearly risen up. She literally went to CUNY. She said because it was affordable. She was not, she did not have a silver spoon in her mouth. This girl worked very hard to get where she was, and the school just caves, folds like a cheap accordion because a bunch of lame people were like, "Oh my God, your weird, your bland article supporting this girl who worked very hard to get where she was offends me because she dared to defend someone who had a right to his day in court."
Yeah, and Johnny Depp really was nothing but a footnote in the story that they wrote, and I feel like even the mention of his name to some people now is like a trigger word.
Yeah.
Which is insane because I guess to them it denotes like domestic violence.
Yeah. So just the mere, they're saying by making an article where they're saying this lady did a good job doing her job, which it's literally the point of her place on that team was to help him with his case.
One which any of their pre-law students would probably kill to have.
Yes. but because the job she was chosen for is part of the less socially acceptable social mores right now.
Well, but
that's a
also,
problem.
like, what?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, let's remember that, like, Johnny Depp was not on trial for domestic violence. He was on trial for defamation, as was Amber Heard. Both were found guilty on. I mean, Amber Heard was predominantly.
So they're
found
talking
guilty.
tangentially. Just the fact
Like,
that mere allegations were involved in any aspect of it was the problem.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like.
I mean, what if the story had been about someone on Amber Heard's legal team from their college?
Then it would have been
that have been allowed
okay,
to go through?
I think, because it's like,
it still mentions the subject.
Yeah, but she
indirectly
is her allegations of domestic violence were more important to the media in some ways. Like, people who supported Amber Heard were like, you can't support Johnny Depp because of the things she said. I think in this case, like, this is a weird stance to take. Also, like, this is a fundraising email. I don't know if you guys can tell that. Like, they're saying this to send to, not to their pre-law students, but to send to their donors to be like, look, people who come to our school are successful. Continue to give us money.
Yeah.
She said in particular that the school is affordable, and you know how you can keep it affordable for future stars like this girl to donate to us. Like, I just think in some ways too, this is a weird way to backtrack on something. Like, anyways, this is always a very transparent grab for donations for the school, and on top of that, you have now kind of walked back and insulted someone who volunteered their time to do an interview with you to talk about her experience.
I wonder what she would have to say now in the aftermath. And Brett, I thought it was interesting you mentioned earlier, before we were on the show, that this student is likely, their former student is likely completely, on the same page as far as all of these social issues and what they think is okay or not okay to say.
But they don't believe in due process.
She has all the right allegiances, maybe, because when I was reading the original, the archived article, she was talking about how she fights for more Hispanic representation in law, and she wants to assist underrepresented students of color who are pursuing that career path. She likely would have like no problem at all with any of their preferred social mores,
and likely would have been just as happy to defend Amber Heard if that would have been the case given to her.
Totally.
But
and that's what you're supposed to do as a lawyer, is to be dispassionate and purely look for the facts that make your best defense.
It's funny too, because like there's like this image of like what lawyers are is this like truly dispassionate profession, right? Where it's not my job to like my client, it's my job to defend my client. And there's something comforting about that in a way. I don't know if that makes sense to you. Like, there's something comforting about the idea that even in your worst moment, for people who've been wrongly accused of things, where the world seems to be telling you that you're wrong, no matter what evidence has been presented, that there is a system by which we employ here in this country where there's somebody who, because it's beneficial to their career, will take you on and defend you to the best of their abilities, because that's how the founding principles of law here were built, right? I want to talk about what this professor wrote in here. So he says, this is from Casey Johnson, who's a Brooklyn College professor. He says, from last night, a CUNY publicity item celebrated a recent grad, a daughter of two Dominican immigrants who had worked on Depp's legal team, on the high-profile win that they accomplished. After complaints from some CUNY professors and graduate students, CUNY deleted the post. And then he says, not a good look for CUNY, to put it mildly. The Memory Hold article celebrated the legal acumen of a 2015 Hunter grad, the daughter of two immigrants from the Dominican Republic who had worked on the Depp case. One line of the institution's groveling apology could even be read as casting doubt on the jury's verdict in the civil case. CUNY's message to talented young grads who go into law seems to be, we'll celebrate you only if we institutionally approve of your client. That is a huge problem.
But that's true all the time. Like, we're hearing about this lawmaker, but like my favorite example of this is I was in a sorority in college. I was a Delta Gamma, and they'll put out newsletters that are like, here are famous alumni, right? Ann Coulter, the popular right-wing commentator, is a Delta Gamma alumni. They will not acknowledge her. It's not a secret. They don't want her associated with their brand. And so I think in some ways, like, we already know this is happening. A lot of colleges won't celebrate, like, They're not going to celebrate any alumni that worked on the Trump administration, I'm sure. They are not highlighting them in their alumni newsletters, right? It's just more interesting because this person seems to come, and I hate to say this, from a background that they would typically lift up. It's because she did what she was asked to do as a professional, which was present a good defense for her client, who, by the way, won his case. Because they don't like her client, she's not allowed to be celebrated. Like, it's unusual to us because typically this person is from a narrative that they approve of, but it actually happens all the time. This happens constantly.
Yeah. In an interview, Yerlin discussed the lack of Latin representation in the legal field. She said Latinx, but I'm going to let that. I'm not.
Let it slide.
In the legal field, with only 5% of lawyers being Hispanic in the United States, which further motivates her drive for success. She has worked with programs like Latino Justice and Metro LALSA to assist to assist underrepresented students of color who are pursuing law. So she's doing everything right. But you like the rules of intersectionality are a bumpy. It's a bumpy road, and you are always just
still being negotiated all the time.
You're always one decision away on a vast tree of decisions from the branch snapping and falling to your social demise. Apparently.
Yeah,
So-
and someone said in the chat, newsflash, if you work for a law firm, you will not like all of your clients.
Yeah, and that's like I said. I find something.
What should she have said? Like, no, I can't work on Johnny Depp's trial, even though this would be a huge thing for my career because my undergraduate school may be upset with me.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Well,
They just act
hopefully-
like the real world, the adult world is like a kindergarten story circle that we're all sitting on the carpet and we all have to share and like each other.
Maybe the best she can hope for is like at least I made a good ton of money to pay off my student loans. Like, you know, like if she's smart, she doesn't care that the stupid college is doing this. And maybe she goes on and she says at the next client, maybe she gets to represent Amber Heard in the appeal when Amber Heard
what
appeals.
I would think is like they called her. They're like, hey, it's so interesting that you work on this case. Can we interview you? They do this huge interview to her, which again, like I said, she's a busy lady lawyer. She took time out of her day to do, supplied them with photos. Then they push it out, get backlash, take it down. They probably did not apologize to her, but then come December, they're going to ask her for a donation to the school. They know what money, what kind of tax bracket she's in. They're going to ask her to contribute.
And if the interview had focused on the trial and her explaining, why she's so happy about their victory and
there's nothing
and
in the
talking
article
about Johnny Depp the whole time, I would understand why you might not want to include that in the article. But it was really about her personal story. So taking it down just says we want to take you down as a human being.
The only mentions of Depp are really that first paragraph.
Yeah.
After that, there's almost like, you know what she should do? The next time they come to her for a donation, she should push them. She should send them. She should forward that message to Johnny Depp, because Johnny Depp was just re-signed with Dior. I forgot about
he was.
this. Yes.
Well, didn't you know? I thought we played the commercial.
I think
for
that's an
his-
old commercial.
Who stood by him? There was
Oh,
one.
they did a new one?
There was one brand that never backed down, and they always kept him in
I
space.
thought it was Dior.
Isn't it
that did-
Dior?
I thought it was. He signed a new deal though, so they're like, we're renewing your contract.
They're like, this is
because-
excellent timing. We are glad you have been vindicated. We are back.
Yeah. So
If
Remember
I were
us?
him, I wouldn't take it though.
But they stood by him the whole time.
no, I think
Why
this is the
not?
company that stood by him.
Dior?
was
No,
it?
no, they stopped running the commercial.
Who is the?
No,
who-
there's one fashion house that stood by him.
It wasn't Dior though.
Let's find out.
I'm just saying, if I were him, I wouldn't have renewed a deal with Dior after they snubbed him like that.
I mean, if Dior did snub him, I agree with you. But if they're the ones that stood by him,
They stopped. Yeah, they had this deal with him, and they stopped running the advertisements for it as soon as the rumors of allegations against him from Amber came out,
Are you
Yeah.
sure? There's definitely
like
one
in
that stood by him.
2015 or something.
I thought there was a company that at least
It's
didn't
mentioned
fire
in the
him.
article.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
that-
It's Dior that stood by him. They continue to have him as the
but
brand
they stopped
endorsement.
running the ad.
I don't.
Did they keep him on the promotional
If
stuff
he
in the
kept getting
store?
paid, I say.
This is getting pretty nuanced, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So he just signed his new 7-figure deal. It's not a Disney deal, but we'll go with it what you will. He can make the donation to her law school in her name.
She didn't go to SUNY for law school. She went to Fordham.
I'm sorry,
So
her
we should
undergrad.
only
Her
talk-
undergraduate.
But that's the thing. Maybe he should contribute to her law school, since law school apparently did not disparage him, and then was also the reason that she could represent him in court.
Yes. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.